Okay, we're live. Thanks for joining us for this artist spotlight with the Northwest Minnesota Arts Council and Beau Bakken, Hallock Artist. I'm Kristin Eggerling. I'm the promotions specialist with the Arts Council. Trey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Trey Everett. I'm the showcase specialist for the Arts Council, and I work with our different galleries. We've got two galleries in Thief River now. We have our gallery at Northland Community and Technical College, where Beau is showcased right now. But then we've opened a new gallery, a little gallery in the Carnegie Library in Thief River. And so that's just opened last month. So if you're in the area, you got two galleries you can check out.
That's great. And Beau, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little about you and your art?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Beau Bakken. I'm currently kind of a half professional artist, half house painter. When my brain is worn out from painting, I enjoy painting walls and ceilings in someone's house. And when my neck hurts from doing that, I enjoy sitting back in the chair in front of the easel. So it's a brush in hand either way, but it's a good back and forth right now. I got a great wife. I've got 4 kids. I don't know. We live a good simple life up in Hallock here.
Yeah, and you grew up in Hallock, is that right, Beau?
Oh.
Am I frozen?
I missed a little bit from you. Did you say? No, you're all right. Did you say that I grew up right in here in Hallock?
Yeah.
I've been here my whole life. My dad's got a shoe store, Bakken Boots, just a couple blocks away from where I live now. He's still running it.
Okay. Yeah, and so so we have an exhibit right now called Around the Farm, and Beau's our featured artist. And this is an exhibit of artwork showcasing life on the farm. And so we've got a number of pieces from watercolor to acrylics to some ceramics to mixed media of various artists throughout Northwest Minnesota. And then we have the largest part of our exhibit features Beau's work, which is acrylic on canvas. And why don't we just start out, Beau? Just tell us a little bit about some of the artwork that you've exhibited. What did you exhibit? And do you have a favorite from the pieces that are in the gallery right now?
Yeah, let's see. Most of them I'm trying to remember. Most of them are trucks. There's an old thresher thing, an old harvester of some kind that I took a photo of in the morning on a sunny side and a shady side, and it was fun to paint both sides, both photos. I've got Ron, my boss, Ron Peterson. It was fun while I was doing all these trucks over the last year or so, I just kind of got this bug in the back of my brain, like, man, I gotta do a person. I gotta do a painting of a farmer, not just farm stuff, not just equipment. So, I asked Debbie, his wife, for photos. He died a couple of years ago. I asked her for photos, and I got the go ahead and everything. So yeah, that was good. I suppose that's the most meaningful painting in that gallery for me. But I do still enjoy, like, that harvester specifically. It was fun to paint a colorful painting of something that's just a gray pile of sheet metal and rust right now. It's still just a couple blocks from my house in long grass. It's just a great chunk of metal that it was fun to paint blue and paint orange, you know, whether the sun was shining on it or not. And it wasn't incorrect, you know, it was just another example of how crazy nature and how crazy the sun can make the world more colorful than you think. So that holds some meaning to me too.
Okay.
Did you, were you the one who came up with this idea, Beau, about the farm exhibit, or was this, I should know this, or Trey, were you the one who said, oh, it'd be fun to do a farm exhibit with Beau's work, or?
It was actually Mara,
Oh.
our director. So she came up with the idea, which I thought was a great idea, and had suggested Beau. And so I thought it was great too. So that's when I reached out to Beau, and he said, that'd be great. I'd love to.
Because Beau,
but I think that starts with me because I had bugged Mara. I don't know if I messaged Mara or what, but I had, you know, I was like 4 or 5 paintings in of trucks or, you know, something like that. And I think I don't know if it was at last year's region show, or it was either in person or by an email that I think I asked her, what do you think about this idea?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part of the story. Okay, well, good. And I mean, that's kind of a nice thing to know, because whenever our artists in the region kind of reach out, that's always a good thing. So I'm glad you did that.
And Beau, did you start out like intending to paint a bunch of farm equipment paintings or farm related ones, or did it just kind of snowball? Or
yeah, I'm not a farmer. My grandpa was a farmer on my mom's side, but basically a couple years, you know, maybe 2 years ago or somewhere in there, I started doing paintings of grain elevators, and those were successful to sell. And you know, I must have done a dozen of them over the year and a half or so, and I was kind of burning out on that. And I had remembered that I'd wanted to paint one of Ron's trucks from when I worked for him a decade ago. And I didn't have photos of that truck, but I did start like keeping that in mind when I was driving around to take photos. I did ask on my Facebook page if anyone had photos of grain trucks to paint. I don't know why, but there was just something in my brain to like make this American Gothic style painting, and instead of the dude with his pitchfork and his wife, just like this grain truck, you know, puffing its chest out and almost in the same way. And it was fun that, you know, just square on, not really angles, just a square on image of the truck with its grill and rust and dents, but still like an important thing. So yeah, I just kind of ran with that idea for a while, and it was fun. Now, you know, I don't know how much longer I'll keep doing paintings in this theme, but it was a fun ride for a while, and maybe longer.
Yeah. And sorry, Trey, I'm not trying to dominate. You can ask a bunch of questions afterwards, but since we're on this topic, so the elevator in Hallock recently went down, and Beau, you did some work painting on pieces of the elevator, and they would have been cool to be a part of this exhibit too, but maybe you could just talk about that work since it fits into this theme.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't even think of the idea. Tori Youngren of the So Tori business in Hallock here, she asked me if I would do a painting of the elevator on boards from it, and a couple days after it was torn down. and it didn't take long for me to think, oh, that's a great idea. So I called the elevator company, got the go ahead to go over and pilfer a few boards, and yeah, that was every one of them. I did 3 paintings of the elevator on those boards, and each one of them sold. I wish I would have grabbed a bunch more, but, but that's over with now. But yeah, I like physical, real things, and I'm assuming other people do, to have that real board with a nail and an old metal chunk kind of nailed to it yet, and maybe even a little bit of dirt that's underneath the varnish. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, a cool idea to have this real physical thing that's no longer standing up with a painting of it on it.
Beau, tell us a little bit about your process. Like, once you find something you want to paint, do you take photographs of it? Do you sit in front of it outside and sketch it first, or start painting, doing plein air? I mean, just tell us a little bit about how you go about from start to finish with your work.
Sure. Yeah, I've a couple times I painted outside, but that's definitely not my style. When it comes to painting an actual canvas, I've got a collection of photos that I don't have a great camera. I just use my phone, and then it gets transferred to my computer, and I've got an unorganized mess of folders of photos to paint from that I have to weed through to remember. But then I don't have a color printer, so I send those photos to the Enterprise, the newspaper in town here. They print them up for me. I bring them home, and then I just measure and go off that photo printed out next to my easel. It's just kind of I don't know, making dots, X and Y axis, trying to sort out the actual real dimensions of the piece I'm working on, scaling it to whatever my canvas size is, and color it in.
And sorry, I was just going to ask real quick to follow up. Give us an idea of how long that process takes. I mean, I'm sure each image is different, but just maybe in general.
Most of the ones in the gallery right now, of those 12 paintings in there, probably took around 20 to 25 hours each, somewhere in there. Not too long. That's, when I've had to start more relying on selling paintings, I've started to keep track of my hours. I never did before, but that's kind of what I'm averaging nowadays, is the 20 to 30 hours.
Okay.
And do you mostly work in acrylics? Is that your thing, or?
Yeah, I tried oils, and I was too impatient. I couldn't, having that paint always wet, I couldn't figure it out. And watercolors too, I've tried. I've dabbled with that a little bit. Each time I end up back with my old trusty acrylics after I adventure out a little bit.
Do you ever run into creative blocks? Do you ever run into times where it's like, I cannot do this, or I don't feel like doing this, and how do you work with that, if you do?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. And especially these last couple of years where I've relied more on my art income, I get burnt out. I run, sometimes in winter I run out of photos, and I think, it's hard to take a good photo in the winter when everything is kind of dead and snowy and whatever. But for my painting mental health, I do try to have a good balance of paintings I'm trying to sell, paintings I want to keep for myself, and paintings I'm going to give away. And sometimes the paintings I keep for myself become the paintings that are given away eventually when I'm tired of looking at them in my house. But it's not 1-to-1 for those three categories, but it's somewhere close to that. I've always got a painting on an easel down in my studio that I'm hoping to sell someday, and there's always one that I'm doing for fun that I have no intention to sell, and that does help. Yeah, I still, even for the ones I want to sell, I have to continue to try new ideas, so I don't burn out doing the same thing over and over again. That's why the elevators, I kind of, did those for a run and then stepped off the gas. I did the trucks for a while and kind of stepped off the gas. And this winter I've been experimenting with some different things. Yeah, it just takes a lot of, it's tough to come up with. Overall, I'm in a good space.
Do you go, how do you go looking for new ideas? You wait for things to pop in, or are you like actively paying attention to your surroundings, looking for inspiration?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I'm very perceptive to I maybe keep track of the visual kind of nature and world around me than other people do. I'm going to see if I've got a photo saved on my phone. I'm going to see if it translates through a couple different screens, but there's just out my, and it almost looks more orange there. Those trees, when I stepped out my door the other day, those trees were just flaming red from like the 6 p.m. sun shining in them. And it just like rattled my feathers just when I stepped out the door, like, goodness, what? It was so pretty and so astounding how glowingly red the trees were. They're just dead. I mean, not dead, but just leafless trees beside my yard and farther down. There's moments where I capture those, moments in time when I just see something. Otherwise, I have a list I just keep kind of a written down list on my bulletin board downstairs of ideas that I could pursue further. And, I look back at that every now and then. In some degrees, it's I do have a lot more ideas than I have time for, but they're just kind of surface level. When I, to actually kind of invest in those ideas and dig a little deeper, it gets a little more difficult sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. It's a mix of inspiration from other art I like, other media I like, and the world around me.
Are there certain artists that have really influenced you in your work, or that you often refer to or get inspiration from yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started as a little kid copying my dad's art. He's an artist. When I was a lot younger, he was really leaning into pencil drawings of animals, of wildlife. And I've told the story a billion times, but when I was 5 or 6 or whatever, I would lay on the floor of his store, and in his little gallery room, I would try to copy his stuff while customers in the shoe store would have to step over me. So I suppose he was my first, but I've always loved Norman Rockwell, and to be able to like I love his slice of life, almost like he's recording history of his time for us to see now. I've always loved his stuff of just these kind of simple scenes that he did on that Saturday Evening Post.
Mm-hmm.
Those I've always loved. There's a dude called Alphonse Mucha from Europe over there somewhere that did these really cool, I don't even know how to describe them. Most of them were women, but a kind of a different Art Deco style that I've always really liked. I tried to do one painting in that similar style, and I nowhere near matched his stuff, but it is fun for me to kind of either copy someone else's art and that I have no intention to sell, or try to do something of a similar style. I'm trying to think of other artists that are really killing it. I'm really big into board games, and there's some artists that are popular within that scene. And there's a guy called Vincent Dutrey, but it's spelt with he's French, so he's French Canadian, so it's spelled Dutrey. But if anyone wants to look up that guy's art, he's really good. He's a really good watercolor and ink. I don't even know what, but he's super good.
Have you had any formal training or education? I know you had art in school, right? You had an art teacher have you had any other art classes or training?
No. I had Kay Rosengren for as many years as I could spend time with her during school. Well, I think I had a quarter with her in middle school, but I feel like I must have broke the rules, because I think I took art every year in high school, or at least that's my foggy memory. Obviously, my dad, we must have talked a little bit back and forth about art. I did 1 year of painting in my first year of college, but that's it. I'm sure there's value in college level art training, but I guess I never bothered beyond that first semester.
What advice would you give to your younger self around art?
Boy. I don't know. I was doing stuff all along. I was coloring my basketball cards. I was drawing. I would set my toy tractors on the end of the bed and draw them. But I did think of an answer right now while thinking about it. I rarely finished things back then. So at some point as an adult, I've learned, don't get your brain invested into the next one until you finish the current one. So maybe I would tell myself to finish that first piece before you start 3 more.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your murals? Because you do a lot of murals now.
Sure. Yeah. I started, it was on my dad's store on his wall. He had a big blank cement block wall about 15 years ago. And that was my first, I wasn't paid. I have sort of been paid for it ever since. He's given me free framing on it and free varnishing on all my paintings ever since in trade. But I wanted to do something really big outside, and that was my first attempt. And I did it in black and white because I was scared of mixing that many colors on that big of a scale. Whatever, it's probably 20 some feet tall by 40 feet long or whatever. So I took it easy. even though the actually scaling out process isn't much different than what I do down in my basement. I got that first mural done 15 years ago, and that led to a couple more smaller ones, a couple of indoor ones. But there's pretty much been every summer since then, I'm doing some kind of mural work. And I think that's my favorite, to be outside when it's 75 degrees with a little bit of breeze, running up and down the scaffolding. I used to do carpentry with my uncles, you know, it's getting to be quite a while ago now, but to have that physical climbing up and down scaffolding reminded me of that. And it's an extra element of kind of fun while trying to sort out this giant mural. Yeah, I do enjoy doing those. There's one or two kind of sort of floating out there for this summer. I hope I can lock some down. That's the problem with where we live, is we only have, 4 months, 3, 4, 5 months every year that I can work on them, on the outdoor ones. But they're a very important part of my professional artwork, to try to make a living. And yeah, it's fun to be able to have a piece that's so public, that you can't ignore. That's just on a giant wall by a gas station, or on a main thoroughfare. I can't ask for any more public viewing than that for my artwork.
And you've done murals like all over the region, right? And beyond. Yeah.
There's quite a few on the Minnesota side, a couple on the North Dakota side, Cavalier and Grafton. I'm still waiting I've got this goal in my head to claim a wall in Grand Forks or claim a wall in Fargo. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe I'll get there one of these days. And then I'm sure after that, I'll want Minneapolis, and who knows after that. It's kind of a step-by-step process over this last decade and a half or so.
When you create a mural, how do you move the little image that you have, your paper image, to the large wall canvas? What's your method of doing that?
It's really just doing the math of, I figure out the scale. If I've got to multiply every length and width by whatever number, I use a metric system because it's so much simpler than inches and feet. I figure out what I got to multiply my sheet of paper to, and if it's one of these big ones I do with the letters, like a greeting card, at least then I can break it down into each image. If there's like the one at Hallock here, of the Hallock word with an image in each one, at least I can do I'll draw a vertical line and a horizontal on the paper, and same on the wall, and then I'm just working out from that center point in each one. So it's not just, I'm not doing measuring the whole thing at once. Usually I can break it down into different parts, maybe 6 or 7 different parts or whatever.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you kind of work maybe from the middle out of each section. Yeah,
that hasn't always been the case, but it seems a little bit better lately. I used to work off of, one of the two sides and off the bottom or whatever, but kind of making, instead of just, I could do a full grid too, but that seems like more time. So I just kind of make my own, simple grid every here and there, and make sure they're in the correct spot relative to the first one, of course, if it needs to be. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it.
One more question on that. So when you're creating the mural, when you're painting the mural on the wall, does it change sometimes? Do you realize, hey, I don't like how this looks on the paper, or hey, there's, I'm realizing I want to do this, or do you pretty much keep it the same as your original paper image?
No, I've changed some things here and there. It's you have to obviously step back farther than from a easel. I have to walk back 25 feet and look at it and realize, no, it just doesn't look right. I haven't changed up anything too major, but yeah, that happens. I'm sure. I know I've been a little bit subconscious of it or conscious of it when cars are driving by and I'm just standing there staring at it for 5 minutes at a time. I'm sure there's people scratching their heads but then it's kind of weird being in that public moment of scratching my head thinking out in the middle of, of everyone, but whatever.
Yeah,
So-
I've done that. I remember when some of my murals, I'll be stand back and I'm thinking that does not look like a hand at all. It's supposed to be a hand, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I realize everybody driving by is seeing that. And I mean, I know they probably don't care, but I get really self-conscious too, versus, in my own studio at home. Okay, I'll just start over, but it's different with such a public piece of art.
Yeah, I've had those moments where that will motivate me to fix it before I go home a lot more than let it sit there all weekend or whatever. I get that.
Yeah. I did that. This one mural in Crookston, at the very top corner of this building, I put the words, I don't know, like Jack Pine or something. It was supposed to be native features of Northwest Minnesota. I put some kind of tree in this one part of the image, and I was up high in the corner. It was nerve-wracking because I'm scared of heights, and I got it done, and I lowered, I got off the lift, and Ross Hier, a fellow artist, stopped by, and he goes, "That looks good, except that species of tree isn't in our region. That's somewhere else." And I'm like, what? But and the last thing I wanted to do was get back on that lift and white it out and put a different tree in there. But I was motivated to do it because I didn't want people driving by seeing it.
Sure.
Beau, can you talk? So you do commissions. Maybe you can talk about what services you offer, what people can buy from you, or
Sure. Yeah. I have a website, artbybeau.com. I've got a Facebook page. I consider myself too old to do anything else. I don't do Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. But I do commissions for canvas paintings or business signs that want something a little more maybe old school on wood. I can even do something 3-dimensional on wood with a jigsaw. That's even older school. I'm for hire for indoor murals, outdoor murals. I usually, whenever I have nothing else to do, I paint paintings on canvas and try to sell those. I post those on my Facebook page, or eventually I get them to my website.
And you do I'm just thinking about a project you did for the library. Well, one, you did a mural. That was a long time ago, but also our book drop, we wanted it painted, and so you did a cool painting on that.
Yeah, that's another kind of unorthodox thing, but it was the metal book drop that I brought. It was pretty heavy. I lugged that thing down in my basement I think in the middle of winter. And yeah, painted that up. Painted there wasn't real much direction on what to do. So in my head, I was like, what can be bright and colorful, but still kind of fit for a library, but still kind of simple. So I did the alphabet all wrapped around the book drop in different bright colors. And I kind of snuck some Easter eggs, highlighting different things. Some of them, just having fun with the letters, having fun at the arrangements of the letters, and yeah.
People, I think other artists watching this would be interested to know, how did you grow your business? How, you're part-time professional artist, part-time you're a house painter, but how did you get to where you're at, or what advice could you give artists in our region?
Yeah, and this attempt at making a go at it of being a house painter / artist is only the last year and a half or 2 years now. Most of my art career has been alongside a full-time job with a full-time house of kids in the house. It's been a kind of a slow step-by-step process of, I think that first public mural in my dad's shop helped to have a public example of my artwork. I was still doing stuff before then for people also, but it's just been a slow process of word of mouth, of people seeing my stuff. There's a very generous woman in town, Shirley Ryberg. She hired me to do some stuff for the city hall, some paintings that she donated to the city hall. I did a mural of the aerial view of Hallock in the city hall also, on a wall down there, paid by her. Yeah, it's just been, I didn't think I would ever give up a full-time job to lean harder on artwork, or at least it was a goal, but it didn't seem very likely, especially with kids and 4 kids. My wife has not been a full-time working anywhere, and along the way, it seems crazy what we're doing, and maybe it is for all I know, but it's working for now. My advice, I guess, would be, yeah, just don't jump in crazy. It's been a slow process of learning along the way, learning to now I do my murals in full color, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't scare me as much as I did, 15 years ago. So it's just baby steps all along the way, and not I didn't spend a lot of money along the way either. I don't have a studio out of the house. I don't spend a whole lot of money at all on my art career. So with low expenses, and I don't know, somehow it's working currently, and that's probably not going to be the answer that is going to work for everyone, but it's working for us right now.
Okay. And tell us your website one more time.
It's either artcommissionsbybeaubakken.com, but I got a second, simpler way to get there. It's just artbybeau.com. Should get you to the same place.
Okay.
And my name is, Beau. I guess it shows it on the screen too.
Okay.
Are there other things you want people to know that we haven't talked about?
I don't know. I can show a couple of paintings I brought up.
Oh yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm working on. Yeah. I'm back to the I guess the elevators don't bore me too much because I'm back again working on one of the. It's a couple elevators from Lancaster, one closer up and one much farther back. But it's just kind of a yellow morning sky that I'm working on. That's the one that I'm going to try to sell. And what I'm doing for myself that I don't plan to sell is this Japanese thing. There was a show I loved in the 90s called Gundam Wing that I've been watching again with my older kids. And I don't know, there's just this moment in the beginning of the episode, every show that I just love. They show the text of the episode name across and this big robot Gundam mech thing floating up in space, and it's nerdy as all get out, but I love it. And there again, I'm copying someone else's artwork, so I'm not going to sell it, but that's where I get my mental health boost, is doing fun stuff like that for my nostalgia and to like represent my interests. I don't know. I've got kind of a 3-word definition for art: is expression through creation. You know, I'm expressing myself, expressing my nerdy whatever through my artwork. I think that's fun. And I've got one more that I haven't posted yet. We went sledding this Christmas with family, and someone, my sister-in-law, took this photo of my boy sledding, and I thought the photo was great, so I've been working on it, painting him. But yeah, I don't know.
Very cool.
Painting, still enjoying it. No change yet.
Will you have something in the annual exhibit in Crookston?
Yeah, that one of my boy Vaughn sledding is one, and then another painting from that same day of a few of the family sledding down the hill. That's more of a perspective of looking down the hill. It's a painting of someone in the family looking down at the other sledders, and one of the sledders is my wife with our daughter on top of her in the sled with another cousin on top. So it's 3 people jammed in the sled and going down the hill. That was a nice break for me too this winter. I did from our trip over Christmas of bright colored sleds, bright coats on the white background of the sled hill. I thought I could work with it, do something with it. So that was a fun couple weeks painting those this winter.
And then before the broadcast started, you were telling us the image behind you painted that as well.
Yeah, that's another one that I essentially copied. There's a video game called The Banner Saga or Banner Saga. I can't remember. But I just love the style of the artwork in the game and within their marketing and whatever. It's weird. I found out I don't like the game that much to play, but I just really love the art, and I wanted to capture that someday. And yeah, so for now, it's just here in the house.
Yeah, and one other question about your art: how do you determine what you're going to sell it for? What kind of goes through your mind as you're thinking about that?
Obviously the cost of the canvas gets figured in, but it's mostly just my time. I just, every time I'm down painting, I keep track of how long, I just write down the hour or 2 or a session that I'm working on it, check it off on my paper, and I have an hourly rate kind of in my head that I hope to achieve, and it's basically just sorted out on there. I also have kind of a threshold where I think like, I better wrap this thing up or no one's going to want to pay, several $100s. So
Right.
I've got kind of a limit I've been trying to stay in.
Okay. Yeah, so I just want to mention again the exhibit right now around the farm. So it's in Northland Community and Technical College in Thief River Falls. And it's free and open to the public. You can go in during normal college hours, which I believe is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And there's free parking. You just park in the front of the building and enter door B as in boy. And the gallery is right there next to the library. And there are 27 pieces total by variety of artists. And then Beau has 12 pieces there in the exhibit. And then we do have a reception coming up on March 18th. That's a Tuesday night, and that's from 5 to 8. And that's just a time you can come and go as you please. You don't have to be there the whole time. And we will actually have the Northern Jazz band be playing at 6 there in the what do you call it, on stage or in the auditorium, which is close to the gallery. So that will be at 6. We'll have snacks and drinks. And Beau, you said you'd be there for part of that time anyway.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan for my family and I to be there.
Okay, so that's great.
And some of your work is for sale, right, at the exhibit?
Yep. 11 out of the 12 are for sale. The one of Ron is not, but all the trucks and machinery and whatever else I have there, they're for sale.
Okay, great. And then also, and so that exhibit will run until the last day will be April 25th, Friday, April 25th. And so that's another little change we've had with our gallery at Northland. We've extended the amount of time we'll have an exhibit, but we're having fewer exhibits through the year. So we'll probably have 3 exhibits this year in 2025, but they'll be longer exhibits. So this one will check it out. The last day will be the 25th of April. And then we'll have our awards ceremony, our annual Northwest Exhibit Award Ceremony on Sunday, the 27th. And that's in the University of Minnesota in Crookston. And the doors open at noon. And then we have snacks and some music around 2. And then at 3 o'clock, the awards ceremony will begin. So we just want to mention that. Let's see, is there anything else, Kristin?
I can't think of anything else. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us and participating in this conversation. And
yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah. We're gonna end the stream.